Oh yeah, now we're on. Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Glad you're here. I read something really cool this week. I want to share with you a little bit of it. Not the thing. I don't know if anybody saw about starting the page a day for the Talmud. I had never done that before, and I'm trying. And I thought that maybe some of you would want to try too, and some of you said, yes, you want to try. So maybe for those of you who are trying, we'll get together and try talking about it. But because it's kind of fun, kind of challenging. The first few days it was all about when do you say the Shema, and I could handle that. I mean, we didn't get into anything too complicated and tricky. It was kind of fun. But then I read a link that talked about what is Talmud. So this is just what I wanted to share with you for a second. And they said, if you buy a car, or you get a car, or you drive a car, you open up what we like to call the glove box. What do they call it now when nobody's using driving gloves? I don't know. But you open up the glove box, and there's an instruction manual. And it tells you, which switches are for which lights, and it tells you, all the things you need to know about how to drive the car. It'll even tell you, where to find the oil thing if you need to change your oil, the cap, and whatever. He said, but if something breaks down, you need a repair manual. So the way he described it was that the Torah is kind of like your instruction manual, but the Talmud is kind of like your repair manual. I like that idea. And so he said, so don't stress about the fact that you haven't delved into a lot of Talmud, because I'm going to tell you, you know a lot more Talmud than you realize. Every time we talk about which way you're supposed to light the Hanukkah lights, from right to left, from left to right, all of them or none of them, and the fact of lighting Hanukkah lights at all, that's in the Talmud. And you don't have to have studied the Talmud to know that, but I thought it would be cool to try to study the Talmud. And every once in a while, you have to do a repair for something. We've been doing a lot of repairs on this building since we started the renovating. I'm just going to tell you, I spent a few hours today. The tech stuff. I get to do the tech stuff, or at least watch. Today I was watching. I wasn't doing so much, I was watching. But at least I knew answers. He said, where's the port on this IP, blah, blah. And I know, here, look. So I was helping. Anyway, think about that. I don't know if you ever need a repair manual for your life, but it's in there. It's hard to find sometimes, but it's in there. So there was a book that I read that was called The Talmud and the Internet, and I thought that's a really cool analogy, because the Talmud is this huge amount of information, and it is, in some sense, not totally organized in a great way. It didn't come with a great index. And when you looked at the index, it wasn't exactly that you'd find it alphabetically. And so you'd have to know that the part was a carburetor before you could look up a carburetor. And maybe you'd find it, or maybe you wouldn't. And so I thought, oh, this is great, because if it's the internet, which is this vast amount of knowledge, and then it tells you how to find it, but it had nothing to do with that. It's still one of my favorite books. It's not a very big book, and it's about this man who writes about his grandmothers, and one was from the old country, and the ways that she taught the family about traditions. And the other was American and modern and with it, and the things that they learned from her. And I like it very much because it has all of my favorite Talmud stories all put together in a teeny tiny book. So that's one of the few books that I've read a bunch of times because I can't remember them. So before we begin, I want us to start by taking a deep breath and letting it out slowly, because it's a stressful week for me. Let it out slowly. And try again. Let it out slowly. I've been doing that a lot today. I've been having a really hard time with stress. Although we did fix the tech problem, so I feel better about that already. And then, by popular request, is that a good key? By popular request, we're going to start by getting in the mood with this one. You've got to sing when the Spirit says sing. You got to sing when the Spirit says sing. When the Spirit says sing, you got to sing, oh God. You got to sing when the Spirit says sing. But you weren't singing, so I have to do this again. You got to sing when the Spirit says sing. You got to sing when the Spirit says sing. When the Spirit says sing, you got to sing, oh God. You got to sing when the Spirit says sing. Let's do something easy. You got to clap when the Spirit says clap. You got to clap when the Spirit says clap. One time at least. When the Spirit says clap, you got to clap, oh God. You got to clap when the Spirit says clap. You got to dance when the Spirit says dance. There you go. You got to dance when the Spirit says dance. When the Spirit says dance, you got to dance all around God. You got to dance when the Spirit says dance. You got to rest when the Spirit says rest. Oh yeah. You got to rest when the Spirit says rest. When the Spirit says rest, you got to rest. Oh God, you got to rest when the Spirit says rest. You got to sing when the Spirit says sing. You got to sing when the Spirit says sing. When the Spirit says sing, you got to sing. Oh God, you got to sing when the Spirit says sing. Now, you could do that by yourself and just have a nice Shabbat by singing all the things you need to know for Shabbat. But that was fun, and I like getting to do that and getting us in the mood. So the next thing we do is we welcome Shabbat by blessing candles and blessing something that represents wine. We rise and we turn to page 82, and I call up Ben and Marla to please help me be our Shabbos dad and Shabbos mom tonight. Shabbos bubby.
These lights are only flickering flames, yet flames illuminate our uncertain steps. Flames remind us of Sabbaths long past and of their beauty that delighted our hearts. May they inspire us to work for the great Shabbat of peace. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvosav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Amen.
We praise you, eternal God, sovereign of the universe. You hallow us with your mitzvot and command us to kindle the Sabbath lights.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. We now turn to pages 167, 166, and we bless Shabbat. Some people think we're blessing the wine, but we are sanctifying Shabbat by using the pretend wine.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, Borei peri hagafen.
Amen.
We praise you, eternal God, sovereign of the universe, creator of the fruit of the vine.
Amen.
We praise you, eternal God, sovereign of the universe. You call us to holiness with the mitzvah of Shabbat, the sign of your love, a reminder of your creative work, and of our liberation from Egyptian bondage, our day of days. On Shabbat especially, we hearken to your call to serve you as a holy people. We praise you, O God, for the holiness of Shabbat.
Amen. L'chaim. You okay?
Yeah.
Phew. You are welcome to be seated, but you kind of need to say Shabbat Shalom to someone you came in with, someone you didn't come in with. Shabbat Shalom. Thank you. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat of peace. Good Shabbos, you can say that. I don't know if you noticed, and you know how much I love the language parts of this. Anybody know the difference between Ashkenazic and Sephardic? So give me a sample of like Ashkenazic and a sample of Sephardic. Shabbos is Ashkenazic. And how would I say that in Sephardic? Shabbat. Perfect. Who said that? Okay, got it. So Shabbos is Ashkenazic and Shabbat is Sephardic, and you'll notice that the accent usually shifts to the end of the word in the Sephardic, which is the modern Israeli pronunciation, by the way. That was what they chose for modern Hebrew. So Shabbat instead of Shabbos. But did you notice, now most of us grew up in a world that was Ashkenazic, So you probably grew up saying Rosh Hashanah, right? Not Rosh Hashanah, right? And Rosh Hashanah is the modern Sephardic pronunciation. Did you notice how we shifted? 1948, when Israel became a modern country and Hebrew became a modern language, we shifted and we try really hard to do Sephardic pronunciation. But one of the things that I love about growing up, and one of the things that I love about this congregation, and I don't know if you realize this, is we are what I love to call Ashkefardic. Because we do both. We will say Baruch Atah Adonai, all right? And then you'd say Lehadlik ner, Lehadlik ner. That is Ashkenazic. You're saying it a Sephardic word. You're saying it with a Sephardic pronunciation, but with an Ashkenazic accent. So if you go to a place where a lot of Reform Jews are and modern Jews are, they will sing Lehadlik ner, Lehadlik ner, and you'll say, well, that's just not right. But especially in our songs, the Ashkefardic comes out. And I love that. I love that about us. We're going to continue with page 84. We're going to sing again some more. We're going to welcome the angels that accompany us on Shabbat. And that's how we're going to get into the mood, some more mood of praying. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei HaSharet, Malachei So page 85 speaks to us a lot, especially in the world that exists today, that sometimes we don't feel safe. But I want to remind you that the synagogue is the sanctuary of Israel. That means the safe space. Born of our longing for the living God, it has been to Israel, throughout our wanderings, a visible token of the presence of God in our people's midst. Its beauty is the beauty of holiness. Steadfast it has stood as the champion of justice, mercy, and peace.
Its truths are true for all people.
Its love is a love for all people. Its God is the God of all people. As it has been said, my house shall be called a house of prayer for all peoples. Let all the family of Israel, all who hunger for righteousness, all who seek the eternal, find God here, and here find life. And I'm going to have someone who has recently become a bar mitzvah had said that he would like to help a lot with services these days. And he is now, what do they call it, certified and qualified? Like the teachers are taking their tests. He is now certified and qualified to help us lead, so he's going to lead us in the Reader's Kaddish.
Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei Rabba.
Amen.
Be'alma divra chiruteh, be'almech malchuteh, b'chayechon u'vyomechon, u'v'chayer d'chol beit Yisrael. Ba'agala, ba'agala, u'vizmahan karim, v'meru.
Amen. Yehi shmei Rabba mevarach, la'alam u'almei almaya, yitbarach.
Yitbarach v'yishtabach, v'yitpar v'yitroman v'yitnaser, v'yitadar v'yitale v'yitalal, shemei dekudesha
Brechu.
le'almim kol birchata v'shirata,
Tush bechata v'nechemata, da'amiran be'alma, v'meru. Amen. Baruchu et Adonai, hamevorach.
God, how can we know you? Where can we find you? You are as close to us as breathing, yet you are farther than the farthermost star. You are as mysterious as the vast solitudes of night, yet as familiar to us as the light of the sun. To Moses you said, "You cannot see my face, but I will make all my goodness pass before you." Even so does goodness pass before us, in the realm of nature and in joys and sorrows of life.
When justice burns within us like a flaming fire, when love evokes willing sacrifice from us, when to the last full measure of selfless devotion, we demonstrate our belief in the ultimate triumph of truth and righteousness, then your goodness enters our lives, and we can begin to change the world. And then you live within our hearts, and we through righteousness behold your presence. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto, Le'olam Vahed. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto, Le'olam Vahed. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. You may be seated unless you want to help Liam lead the V'ahavta, and then you are welcome up here. It's okay. She could be where she wants to stand. Ready? You got a mic? Somebody use the mic. Go ahead.
ואהבת
את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם אמת. You shall love your eternal God with all your heart, with all your mind, with all your being. Set these words, which I command you this day, upon your heart. Teach them faithfully to your children. Speak of them in your home and on your way, when you lie down and when you rise up. Bind them as a sign upon your hand. Let them be symbols before your eyes. Inscribe them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates. Be mindful of all my mitzvot and do them. So shall you consecrate yourselves to your God. I am your eternal God, who led you out of Egypt to be your God. I am your eternal God. Would you help me with this, ladies and gentlemen? Would you take the I, the eternal, and would you take the we are Israel? Let's go for it. You guys lead this, please.
I, the Eternal, have called you to righteousness, and taken you by the hand, and kept you. I have made you a covenant people, a light to the nations.
We are Israel, witness to the covenant between God and God's children.
This is the covenant I make with Israel. I will place my Torah in your midst, and write it upon your hearts. I will be your God, and you shall be my people.
We are Israel.
Our Torah forbids the worship of race or nation, possessions or power.
You who worship gods that cannot save you, hear the words of the Eternal One. I am God, there is none else.
We are Israel. Our prophets proclaimed an exalted vision for the world.
Hate evil and love what is good. Let justice well up as waters and righteousness as a mighty stream.
We are Israel, schooled in the suffering of the oppressed.
You shall not oppress your neighbors, nor rob them. You shall not stand idle while your neighbor bleeds.
We are Israel, taught to beat swords into plowshares, commanded to pursue peace.
Violence shall no longer be heard in your land, desolation and destruction within your borders. All your children will be taught of your God, and great shall be the peace of your children.
We are Israel, O God, when we are witnesses to your love and messengers of your truth.
You are my witness, says the Eternal One, and my servant whom I have chosen. Know me, therefore, and put your trust in me.
We are Israel, O God, when we proclaim God our Redeemer, as did our ancestors, the shores.
Got it.
Okay.
Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi chamocha nedar ba'kodesh, nora tehilot osef eleh, osef eleh. La 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 la.
A little bit of jazzy in our day. May we lie down this night in peace and rise up to life renewed. O God, spread over us your shelter of peace, of quiet and calm, and bless us with rest. And let a time come when morning will bring no word of war or famine or anguish, a time of happiness, of contentment, and rest. Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom, aleinu v'al kol amo Yisrael, v'al Yerushalayim, and I'm going to add v'al ha'olam. Praised are you, Adonai. You put a covering of peace over us, over all of the people Israel, and over Jerusalem, and I added, and over the whole world. We give thanks for the night and its rest, and the promise of peace for all the world. Vishameru v'nei Yisrael ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. Please rise for the tefillah, which begins on page 93. Come on up. I need you for this one. Whoop. Ready? Go. Adonai sifatai tiftach ufi yagid tehilatecha. Eternal God, open my lips that my mouth may declare your glory. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Leah, v'Elohei Rachel. האל הגדול, הגיבור והנורא, אל עליון, גומל חסדים טובים, וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה, מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן. ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם בעזרת שרה. God of all generations, of Abraham and Isaac and Jacob, of Sarah, Rebekah, Leah, and Rachel, be praised. Your wondrous creative power fills heaven and earth. God of life and death, be praised.
Through us, send help to the falling, healing to the sick, freedom to the captive. Confirm your faithfulness to those who sleep in the dust.
Awesome and holy God, be praised. With acts of love and truth, we hallow your name. As it is said, y'all be holy, for I, your eternal God, am holy.
God of times and seasons, be praised. Enable us through Sabbath rest to explore and learn and impart the meanings of your Torah. Make our hearts ready to serve you this day and all days.
You may be seated. God who answers prayer, be praised. May we, your people Israel, be worthy in our deeds and our prayer. Wherever we live, wherever we seek you, in this land, in Zion restored, in all lands, you are our God.
Source of life and its wonders, be praised. You are the miracle within all we behold. You are goodness, you are compassion. We give thanks to you forever.
We read together in English below the Hebrew. God of peace, of justice, and of love, be praised. Inspire us to banish forever hatred, war, and bloodshed. Help us to establish forever one human family united in peace. God of peace, bless us with peace.
Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki atahu melech adon lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. V'tov le'enecha levarech et Amcha Yisrael. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam.
for the prayers that are in your hearts, the ones you thought you came with and the ones you didn't know were there. We take a moment to pray silently.
May the words of my mouth
Imre fi v'hegion libi
and the meditations of my heart
lefanecha
be acceptable to you.
lefanecha
Be acceptable to you.
Adonai Tzuri
God, my rock,
Tzuri v'gohali
my rock and my redeemer.
Adonai Tzuri
God, my rock
v'gohali.
and redeemer.
This time in our service, our hearts and our prayers to go to those who are ill or recuperating. I invite you to turn to the back cover of the prayer book. I'm going to turn the microphone off for a moment and list the names for whom we are praying at this congregation. If you have other names that you'd like us to add to our prayers, I invite you to call them out. For all these names, for the names we choose to hold in our hearts and not say out loud, we pray together. Oh God, in our hearts we name those who are facing illness and pain. We join our prayers with the prayers of all who love them. Give them renewed comfort and courage. Strengthen in them the healing powers you have placed within us all. Guide the hands and hearts of those who are entrusted with their care. May the knowledge of your love and ours give added hope to them and to their dear ones. May they find even greater strength because our prayers are linked to theirs. Baruch atah Adonai, Rofeh HaCholim. We praise you, eternal God, the source of healing and health. And we add, Mishaberach Avotenu v'imotenu, may the one who blessed and protected our ancestors guard all those whom we've entrusted with the responsibility of defending our freedom and protecting us in this country, in the land of Israel, everywhere they've been called to serve. Give them courage to succeed and strength to persevere. May they return home safely, and let us say, Amen. I want to talk to you tonight a little bit about, I'm trying to figure out what to call this, something like motivation dynamics, I think. I don't know, that feels like what it is. Although when I started it, I didn't realize that's what it was, but certainly about dynamics, and I think it wound up being something about learning about motivations. So I want to tell you 3 little stories. Have you ever gone into a situation and it wound up being not at all what you expected? Or you go into a situation, yeah, see, Zoe has, that sometimes you don't want to do a thing, and it winds up being an awesome thing. That happened to me a few times this week. We took the car in and had some recalls. They told us that it was going to take 4 hours and they were going to give us a loaner. And we got there, and they didn't have any more loaners on their lot, so we had to drive around a short ways to get to an Enterprise. And we're standing in Enterprise, and it was packed. There were lots of people at the desk, and it turned out that it was partially packed because the people over here were all one big family. Grandma and Grandpa were at the desk trying to deal with stuff, and it was sad because you're all together. So we got to hear things we probably shouldn't have heard about. Well, we can't lend you anything now because you had a bill that's outstanding. Oh no, we took care of that. And we're listening, and you can't help but hear that this was going on. Meanwhile, they have a little kid who is like 3 years old, I guess, on the floor with her back on the floor screaming a little bit, and that's going on, and I don't blame her for being bored. I mean, if you're down here, there's nothing you can see. It was boring enough for me standing up and being able to see. And all this is going on. It's an African-American family. There were at least 3 generations standing there, and you know, it was a little commotion. Mom notices that the I'm going to call him the grandpa, has a bulge in the back that means that he was carrying. I didn't feel any kind of a threat. You know, if he wanted to do something, it would happen longer ago, and I wasn't worried at all. And he was a big guy. It looked like he was going to take care of stuff if something happened. And we were taking care of things, and I didn't notice that most of the family had cleared out at some point. And I looked to the woman who's now sitting next to me. I'm going to call her Grandma. And I said, hey, where'd the kid go? You know, she was kind of fun. And she said, yeah, Mom took her out, and there she's out now. And I said, okay. And so I tried to talk to her because, you know, I try. I try to talk to people, and I try to see if I can get them to smile. And next thing I know, she's gone too, and it's just the guy sitting right next to me. And I heard him say that he needed to have a truck. Could they please get a truck ready for him for his business? So I said, can I ask you? I heard you said you needed a truck. What's your business? And he said, well, I do monument stones for cemeteries. And I said, are you A&D Monument? And he said, well, yes. I said, I'm Rabbi Jana from B'nai Zion. He said, I just lifted all of the stones that got knocked down at the Texas Avenue Cemetery. And here, wait, I have something for you. And he goes into his pocket, and he had a key, because we've added some new locks, and he fixed the gate so that it would stay closed. And who would have thought that this, I mean, I've talked to them lots of times on the phone. I didn't recognize them. I never met them in person. And I thought that was kind of a wonderful experience, to bump into somebody who I've known for a long time, who I didn't know. So that's one kind of a situation. And I didn't expect that when I went into it talking to him that it was because he was someone I knew. So the second situation is something that happened in the Torah portion. And I'm just going to give you a teeny synopsis of this, because we're at the very end of Genesis. And at the very end of Genesis, Jacob dies and Joseph dies. But there's a line from this story that really, really gets to me every time I hear it. The one about how, well, you know, it's Joseph revealing himself to his brothers. And he knows who the brothers were. And he was really being a little bit of a jerk again and trying to trick them and do things to him. But at some point, he can't anymore. And he breaks down and he starts to cry. And he says, I'm Joseph, your brother. And now this guy Joseph is arguably the most important person in the world. He's telling Pharaoh what to do, and Pharaoh is listening to everything he says. He's got full control over what's going on in Egypt, the most powerful country in the world right now. And he is Joseph, their brother. You remember last time they saw Joseph, they were planning to kill him. And instead they threw him in a pit and sold him as a slave. He's the most powerful person in the universe right now, and he could do something horrible to them. And he so far has been a little bit jerky to them, so I'm sure they were trembling. And he starts to cry and says, don't worry. He said, you may have initially intended something for bad, but God had better plans. God intended for good what you had done. And look, I can now help you, and we can be a family and be together again. Let's go get Dad and bring him back. And how awesome was that? And I just love that part of the story about you may have intended bad, but look, it wound up being good. And I love seeing life like that when I can. The other story that I wanted to tell you about is something that happened recently. So a two-parter, I guess, to this. You heard that this weekend there was in New York 25,000 people that marched in support of being Jewish. So all 25,000 weren't Jewish, but there were a lot of Jews marching in New York, showing how proud they were of being Jewish. And there were a lot of non-Jews marching in New York, showing that this doesn't happen on our turf. You can't do things and hurt other people on our turf, on our watch. And I was so thrilled to realize that, you know, if this were in the late 30s, early 40s of the last century, if people had marched across a bridge, 25,000 people saying, you shouldn't be doing this, I wonder if that could have made a difference. And so I feel like there are people making a difference in the world right now, and I'm very proud about that. And there are people here doing it also. We didn't have a march. We had some solidarity things, and we still have solidarity things. But most of what we do is the kind of one-on-one things. We make sure we have friends. We stay friends. We look at people. We talk to them. But I found out something today that changed the way I looked at the situation. You heard about the situation where there was a rabbi having a Hanukkah party, and somebody came in and hurt and killed a lot of the people in the party. And the family said, oh, no, it couldn't have been a hate crime. And then the decision was they were charging him with a hate crime. And they found things that they thought meant that he hated the Jews, and that's why he did it. Well, I heard today from an extremely reliable source, and I don't know that you're going to hear this in the news, but someone from the police department where all this happened said that it turns out that the actual motivation for this situation was that someone at the rabbi's house owed this guy a lot of money. And he wasn't happy about that, and he had tried many ways of getting it paid. Now, he did not do the right thing, but 25,000 people marched, partially because they thought there was hatred in the world that was a different kind of thing that had actually happened. So I started this saying, this is like the dynamics of motivation. What is it that motivates you? What is it that motivates you to take a decisive kind of an action? And is it ever the case for you that you were wrong about what had happened? And is it ever the case for you that you can see things in a better light than what you had originally seen? That's what I tried to do. And I'm not going to lie, we started by talking about Talmud and having a repair manual, not just an instruction manual. And I am hoping that by looking at this, it's giving me little insights into how to do that, because that's what I'm finding so far. So Shabbat Shalom, everybody, because one of my favorite ways of being able to see things in a new way is like kind of sleep on it, you know. Don't act very rashly. Don't try to kill your brother. Seriously. Don't even throw him in a pit. Mr. President, do you have any words? Life is the pits. No, just kidding. Life is really good. No pits. Thank you.
I would definitely not try to kill my brother.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Listen to him. He's right. Don't listen to her. I'm just kidding.
We have had our moments, though. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Thank you, Marla and Ben, for the blessings. Please note the office renovation is
Really close to being finished.
close to being finished. Still in the Federation office in the religious school wing. We're waiting on some furniture and a few things, but it looks great. So y'all will love when it's finally completed. Tomorrow, 9 o'clock to 9:30, B'nai Zion will have a special Kiddush Shabbat for children. And on Tuesday, January 14th at 7 p.m., people of the book club will meet at B'nai Zion to discuss the book The Plateau by Maggie Paxson.
So actually, it's a different book than that, so I'm sorry. People who are in the book club got the news about what book it was, and I apologize that I've been telling you the wrong book.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Next Sunday, January 19th, there will not be religious school or Hebrew classes, but everyone is invited to plant trees at Agudath Hakim on Monday, January 20th at 10 a.m. Friday, January 24th at 6 p.m., Emily Brooks will help lead the service. Will be called to the Torah as bat mitzvah during the Shabbat evening service. Her parents want to invite all of you to celebrate with them for dinner and dancing at B'nai Zion following the service.
Say something about that off the mic. So you know that this is a military family, and they have no family here. And since they've been in Shreveport, they have chosen to be Jewish. This is the first person ever in their family to ever do a bar mitzvah service, and they don't have family here. So you know it's a mitzvah to worship with people. It might be nice for you to come.
Thank you. On Sunday, January 26th, from 1 to 5 at Highland Center on Jordan Street will be the annual World Religion Day. There are information booths, panel discussions representing many religions and humanistic groups in the Shreveport-Bossier City area. We hope you can come to visit. Perhaps you'd be able to sit at the Judaism table for 30 minutes or an hour. Please contact Rabbi Jana if you can help. Donations were made to B'nai Zion for pulpit flowers in loving memory of Sidney Harold by the family, in loving memory of Teddy Cranston by Jerry and John Block, in loving memory of Fred Sklar by Sandy and Jeffrey Kallenberg and Fred Phillips, and in loving memory of David Stern by Gary Yellen. Thank you.
So in the past, if you've ever tried to sit at the Judaism table and somebody's asked you a question you didn't think you can answer, that's not going to be a thing this year because Rabbis Sidney and Feivel will be there, sitting there to answer the questions that you can't answer, and it's fun to see. And you noticed I pointed out this time that there's a human. I hope that they're coming, but there are humanists that come who do not believe in God at all. They believe in science and logic and all kinds of cool things, and they are at World Religion Day too. I think you should come and see what it's about if you've never been there. Walk around. I unfortunately will not be there. I will be doing a Selber family wedding out of town. And I need to tell you that there's a possibility that Monday and Tuesday we will have limited hours, office hours. So if you're thinking of coming, please call first or call me and I can take care. But you can take care of donations anytime, except Shabbat. Don't do it on Shabbat. All right, I would like to invite everybody under the age of 13, but I'd also like to invite Lang and Michael Stahl to come up and help me open the ark. So I'm picking on Michael because it was his birthday this week. It's not because they both wore matching yarmulkes, but I thought I was almost going to do that. Anybody under 13, and if you're wearing an orange yarmulke, I was going to do that. But Lang has become an amazingly integral part of our congregation. He's here all of the time. He is my personal bodyguard. And Lang has been studying to do some wonderful things, especially with special needs kids and things. He has an amazing job opportunity in Georgia. So this will be his last formal time with us on Shabbat. He'll be back for the bat mitzvah, he hopes, God willing. But we would like to honor him and appreciate him. Thank you for everything you do. So he's going to help us. And I brought the kids up, too, because these guys love having the kids around. So I didn't want to put you on the spot by just making it the two of you. I knew you'd want to do it with the kids. So come on up, open. Everybody else is turning to page 148, please. Open, 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 open. We want to sing, we want to sing. It's Torah's. Ready? Come here, look. Aleinu l'shabech la'adon ha'kol, la'tet gedula li'yotzer breshit, shelo asanu kegoyei ha'aratzot, v'lo samanu k'mishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkenu kahem, v'gur aleinu k'chol hamonam, v'anachnu korim ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. On that day, the age-old dream shall come true. On that day, O God, you shall be one, and your name shall be one. We sing on the facing page.
Which one?
Whichever one you want. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד Ushemo Echad. When the Torahs go back in, you ready to put them back? Thank you for hugging them. They were feeling kind of lonely. Thank you. Thank you. We have any more? We're good? All right, so we're going to close these doors. Thank you. Now we're going to step back and we're going to close the big doors. Thank you. Awesome. Careful, careful. We're going to go down the stairs, though. You got it? Nice job. Thank you. You may be seated. Thank you. We had a concern the other day about children being here. And sometimes, especially if there are candles lit everywhere, when kids are running around and things, it gets to be a little bit worrisome. But I love having the kids here, and look how wonderful they were. We give them honors, and they're wonderful, and they were hugging Torahs, and my heart wants to overjoyed. So we shift this, as you know, at the end of when we have joyful situations, we also remember those who aren't with us anymore. And we're starting a new year. Last week I had no one to report for any of the casualties, for any of what I call line of duty deaths. But this week, we lost Army Specialist Henry Mitch Mayfield Jr. He was 23 years old. He was from Hazel Crest, Illinois. He died while supporting Operation Octave Shield. The name of the mission focused on targeting militant groups in Somalia. And we lost Sergeant First Class Michael J. Goebel, who was serving in the Army. He was 33 years old from New Jersey, and he died in Afghanistan. We lost 3 police officers. Investigator Ryan D. Fortini from the New York State Police. He died January 1st. He died of 9/11 related injuries still. He was 42 years old. He served as a police officer for 16 years, and he was a U.S. Army veteran. And we remember Public Safety Officer Jackson Ryan Winkler from the Florence Regional Airport Department of Public Safety, South Carolina. He died from gunfire. He was 26 years old, and he was also a volunteer firefighter. He stopped somebody at a traffic stop. The story was that the guy shot him and took his weapon, but the police apprehended him later that day. And we remember Police Officer Paul Dunn. He was from the Lakeland Police Department in Florida. He died from a motorcycle crash. He was 50 years old. He served for 18 years. And we remember on Sunday, January 5th, we lost firefighter Chuck McCormick. He went to try to save a home, and he fell through the floor into the basement. He was in a place called West Peculiar, Missouri. He was 30 years old. And we take time, and we remember. There are times when people say, please don't say all of the names, because it hurts my heart too much. But I want us to remember. I want us to honor the lives of the people who run into dangerous situations so that we can be safe. And I pray that their memories are a blessing and that their families are consoled, and we always stay grateful. We turn to page 151. Our thoughts turn to those who have departed this earth, our own loved ones, those whom our friends and neighbors have lost, the martyrs of our people, and those of every race and nation whose lives have been a blessing to humanity. As we remember them, let us meditate on the meaning of love and loss, of life and death. I'm going to turn us to page 153. This is a reading that, when you light a Shiva candle, when someone dies and you light a Shiva candle for the beginning of the 7-day mourning period, there's no specific things that you have to say, but this is something that they sometimes give you to say. And I had to do 2 funerals in this past less than 2 weeks, and there's a lot of Shiva candles this week because of people we buried recently. And we buried Teddy Cranston, and we buried Lewis Carroll. So I keep thinking about the Shiva candles. Life is finite. Like a candle, it burns, it glows, it's radiant with warmth and beauty. Then it fades, its substance is consumed, and it is no more. In light we see, in light we are seen. The flames dance and our lives are full. But as night follows day, the candle of our life burns down in gutters. There is an end to the flames. We see no more and are no more seen. Yet we do not despair, for we are more than a memory slowly fading into the darkness. With our lives, we give life. Something of us can never die. We move in the eternal cycle of darkness and death, of light and life. However brief may be our time on earth, O God, you endow our fleeting days with abiding worth. We now recall the loved ones whom death has taken from us. In this past week, in the past month, we remember Lewis Carroll, Teddy Cranston, and Clydell Miles. We also remember congregants' parents who died within the past year. We remember Claire Anthony, Lucy Branis, Isabel Posner, Carol Ginsberg, Johnny Engelbert, and Dean Thomas Pratt. And as we remember those who died at this season in years past, we take them into our hearts with our own, those for whom we're remembering through yortsites, the yortsites occurred this past week, are Teresa Arendt, who's on our marble board, that's how long ago, and Harold B. Barron, and Jacob Barron, who's also on the marble board, Lucille Bodenheimer, Paul Branis, who was a veteran, Lee Edward Dreyfus, Bella Gold and Bertha Gold, Bernice Herman, Sidney Harold, who was a veteran, Bertha Kassoff, Henry Sauer Katzenstein, Israel Kosovitz, Nathan Cranston, David Levy, Gershon Marcus, who was a veteran, Robert E. Redstone Sr., Margaret Golden Werner Rifkin, Francis Selber, Louise Shavin, Fred Sklar, who was a veteran, we lost him in World War II, and Jane Blumenthal Steiner, Della Goldstein Weiss, Hazel Weissman, E. Bernard Weiss, Alvin Willer, and Newman Zelinsky. In this moment of memory, our griefs and sympathies are mingled. Loving God, we rise as together we praise your name. The Mourner's Kaddish is found on page 154. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, be'alma divra chirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon u'v'yomechon u'v'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'vizman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shemei Rabbah mevarach la'alam olamei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal shemei d'kudsha v'richu. La'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shalama rabba min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn and comfort to all who are bereaved. Amen. If you're younger than 13, you can come up and help me with this motzi. So sometimes an unintended thing. I have been to services at other places recently, and they have other kinds of traditions than we do. And some places they make just the mourners read. I like having everybody reading together. What's under here? Challah. Yes, it's challah. I was hoping it would be challah. Let me get you a microphone so we can hear you sing. What? Uh-oh. You like the challah? Yeah, that's what I'm hoping to see. Ready? Let's do this. Ha motzi lechem min haaretz. We give thanks to God for bread. Our voices rise in song together as our joyful prayer is said. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Motzi lechem min haaretz b'tei avon. All right, I'm going to hold the plate, and everybody gets a piece. Make sure everybody gets a piece. Everybody standing here. I don't mean everybody in the whole congregation, because the congregation's challah is out there. Did you get? Yay! Look what he got. I know there are no winners and losers, but he wins. You've got to stand when the Spirit says stand, or the rabbi, whichever one it is. You got to stand when the Spirit says stand. When the Spirit says stand, you've got to stand to be blessed. You got to stand when the Spirit says stand. Remember to rest, though, and remember to get home safely. The storm, I think, is supposed to hit around 9 o'clock tonight, so be safe. As of right now, it looks terrible, so please be safe. Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. May God bless you. May God protect you. Yair Adonai panav elecha v'chuneka. May the light of God's face shine upon you, be gracious to you. Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. God's always looking up to you. Make sure God looks up to you and finds the things that God needs to look up to you about. May God grant you peace. Shabbat shalom. You've got to rest when the Spirit says rest. You got to rest when the Spirit says rest. When the Spirit says rest, you've got to rest. God, thank you, thank you, thank you.